Morning. Thank you guys for joining us Sunday morning, obviously on a short week, so it changed our schedule. Went back and watched the tape, obviously. Disappointed in the final result. I will say this, I do think our guys fought and played hard the entire game. There was no give up. I think our young men continue to battle. If that's a positive I take from it. Obviously, we were poor on third down defense. I think that was one of those things you look and see all the yards that we gave up as a defense. Obviously, we were strong in the red zone, but too many third down conversions by ECU's offense. Some of those quarterback, runs that probably weren't even designed, just we weren't there, or we'd make the hit and weren't able to finish the play. Offensively, obviously, we were living too much by the explosive play, right? Just trying to hit the explosive. We weren't able to sustain drives that led for some of the time deal, or, with the time of possession where ECU significantly held the ball longer. And the style of play, but offensively, obviously, we didn't execute at a high enough level. The takeaway, still got to find a game where we can go play without that. And then special teams, goes without being said, we need to get the kicking game fixed. If we're at the college average, I'm not here to play what if games, but maybe we're a little bit different record. But it's where we are today. Obviously, I had to put that chapter closed quickly. And jump on Houston in a short week. We know they're a ranked team. They've got a top 10 offense, scoring offense, and a top 10 scoring defense. Their last, they've won 9 straight by, I believe, a margin of 22 points. They're rolling it red hot. They're playing a tough environment at their place. We know what's at stake, but our guys will believe and continue to fight and look forward to a great week of preparation.
Evan, Frank, and then Terry.
So Ryan, so going back to what you said about Calvin dealing with a serious injury, how is he going to be managed this week, just out of curiosity? Is it going to be kind of the same thing where he'll be limited or probably not even be able to practice? How do you guys manage him now, knowing that he's not probably going to be 100% from what you said going into this week?
Yeah, so much of it, I think, Evan, is, how he feels, right? We constantly talk to doctors, talk to him, see how he's feeling. He's a tough young man, and that's the one thing. He's going to stand tall for his team. And as long as we're not risking further injury and he feels comfortable going out there, I know he will. So a lot of it's coach management with it and seeing how he feels. If he's full go to practice tomorrow, I know him, he'll be out there full go. If he can't do anything, then he won't be able to do anything. And it truly is a day-to-day, right? With a player of his caliber that's put in the work. He's so smart enough to, if he feels a lot better come, Thursday and is able to get through Thursday's practice and able to go on Friday, I know he will. So truly a day-to-day deal with him. Trust his judgment on it. Obviously, we're constantly consulting with the doctors, and, every day is a new day to see how he's feeling.
And you mentioned not, relying too much on the explosive plays, but I was doing some looking, and I think you guys running the ball, at least you guys have only had, I think, 2 running plays of at least 20 yards since Arkansas State. So I guess with the running game, is it a case of just trying to, keep chunking away and basically saying, hey, if we can't run the ball effectively, maybe we just try to, get some things here and there to try to keep it going a little bit?
I think part of the equation is we've used more RPOs this year, run pass options, and, and Seth has taken advantage of those when he feels like the pass is there. Instead of just getting the old-fashioned handoff, sometimes we just, even my first few years here, it was not as much RPO. It was just, hey, let's just call these runs and get downhill. As you guys know, we've had a rotational backs the last few years, and we've got to do a better job on all of it, schematically, blocking up front, or be able to run the ball and be able to make one guy miss. So I look at that, and I think a lot of it is, some of the explosives is, if, you got to be able to make the safety miss. And that's what happened, right? You go back to the Arkansas State game where that safety is down the box, we make a miss. We had some explosive runs. We haven't been overly healthy in the backfield. As you guys well know, we've had guys, Brandon Thomas has missed a game due to injury. Drake Clark has missed a game due to injury. Colin Watkins out for the year. JP Martin has yet to, our true freshman, has yet to dress for a game. Markevius Weaver been banged up. So we're not being really consistent enough. I'd like to be more explosive. We constantly look at it, Evan. I put a lot of that on my shoulders to figure out ways that we can be more explosive in the run game.
And with that said, there were more designed runs for Seth. I mean, is that Is that almost kind of what you said now? Is that almost a last resort? I mean, obviously he's been running the ball more, but it seemed like there were more design runs for him. Is that now going to be part of the plan to try to spark some things a little bit?
They're not necessarily more design runs, kind of like East Carolina. When everybody was covered up, just took the ball down and got positive yards. He's done a nice job with his legs, probably more so than we've seen from our quarterbacks, since I've been here, the Ferguson and White. So Seth has done a good job of just seeing it. Sometimes I say, hey, patience, young man, right? Go through your full read progression and trust the pocket. But that's part of his maturation process, is being able to sit back there and trust the protection when it is holding up to get through his reads and not take off running. We do have some draws, that are designed, but with not as much quarterback run game. Obviously, we implemented a lot more of that when Peter was our quarterback versus UCF.
Right. So I was curious, is that something you're looking into more like, hey, if this is more of an option, will you accept that as whatever can spark the run game if it is Seth running more?
Yeah, whatever sparks the run game, I'm all for. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and give away our game plan versus Houston, but whatever can assist us moving forward, I'm all for it, right? I mean, if I've had plenty of people at least last 24 hours give me some sound play advice. So I'm not going to dig through those messages and look up concepts and plays. But anything we can get going at, Evan, I'm banging my head against the darn wall trying to figure out ways to be more effective running it. I take a lot of pride in it. Something, every year is different, but just not being able to get it going.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Frank and then Terry.
Ryan, you guys have had games this season where, against SMU, Mississippi State, where you look like, possibly one of the best teams in the conference. And then you've had other games where you look like the opposite. How do you get this team to consistently play at the level they're capable of?
Yeah, Frank, I think how I started, I think the guys are playing hard. And so it's, I didn't go out there and say, man, we didn't beat East Carolina because our guys didn't play hard because of the opponent or because I have not been able to doubt that all season, which is a huge deal to me, because I think when guys aren't playing hard, you got an issue in your locker room, you got an issue with your culture and the type of young men. I think the guys are playing hard. We're just not executing. And I always say, let's point the finger at me. Maybe we got to be a little bit better in our game planning, our schemes. But then also we got to be able to find ways to finish and execute. Like I said, had we say we made an extra point, maybe this is a conversation with smiles, this morning. We missed 10 points and kicking game versus Tulsa, and that would have been a different situation, but no excuses. We've got to find ways to, when it's all said and done, all three phases, we just haven't been able to click and in those losses, and we have to find ways. And not to go back to the drawing board, not to reinvent the wheel, Frank, but just what can we do? And I'm constantly asking myself that question: how can we improve? Is it personnel? Is it schematics? Is it the way we practice? And would you say, well, man, the way you played SMU, why would you ever change anything from that? Well, it's not like we all of a sudden we're a different team coming out. We just didn't handle it and execute at a high enough level. But I don't think it's the guys' focus level. They've been great with it. Their attention to detail, their work ethic has all been there. It's simply just not being able to get out there and handle what we need to do.
And then I know how big Calvin Austin is to this offense. And, I know at this point you probably don't know if he's going to play at Houston or not, but if he doesn't play, how much does that affect your play calling and your scheme going into that game?
Yeah, Calvin's very instrumental in what we do as an offense. There's a reason he's one of the most explosive players in the country. He's phenomenal. He's a phenomenal player. He's a threat on special teams. He's a leader out there. So when he's not on the field, it does make a difference. But we're going to have to trust other guys to step up. We got a lot of guys that are starting to do that. Javon Ivory, Eddie Lewis, Gabe Rogers, right? We saw Kobe Drake, Kai Matthew, Rock Taylor. I mean, the list goes on of people that need to step up. I don't know how much will affect our game planning. Obviously, we have certain things that we'll use for Calvin. And then we keep him on, kind of a side menu as the week progresses to see how he's feeling. And, one of those, when he's in, maybe these are some different play designs to get it to him. But we always got to be smart with that. They're the same with Adrian Peterson. If we weren't sure he's going to be able to go, well, here's the menu for plays, especially when you have a star like that, that you got to find ways to give him the football. So we'll see. We've been banged up, so it's a lot of next man up mentality throughout the season, and I'm proud of those guys that are filling in.
And then being this banged up and then going into this shorter week, obviously you want to prepare for Houston like you do every other game, but is there more of an emphasis now on like getting them some more quality rest, or maybe not going as hard as you would with the shorter week and plus the injuries?
Yeah, I think we always got to evaluate and be smart. I talked to our training staff, our strength and conditioning staff. Just, okay, hey, what's the schedule look like this week? We'll be a little bit lighter on them, but we also, we need to work. So, normally we go out there on a Sunday after practice, Sunday after a game and get a little work in, and their off days Monday. So today, in essence, is going to be their off day. We're not going to do anything physical with them. And then, we got to roll tomorrow morning to get them ready, because you still, on a limited time, you still got to get the work in. But we'll be smart. I use the word coach management, right? We got guys like JJ Russell, who's played a lot of snaps of football here, Sean Dykes. So maybe sometimes, during individual, we'd be going really hard and banging, that we'll kind of take a deep breath and walk through some more stuff to make sure we're on the same page.
My last question for you is Seth's soreness, or possible soreness, is that getting less and less? Like, is he closer to 100% at this point?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's one of those things that won't fully heal until, a little bit of all season without being able to throw on it and do all that stuff. He's constantly doing rehab on it. I think everybody saw that last drive, he kind of got driven into the ground on it. And, you could tell it was bothering everyone. I don't listen to anything. I just, when we hand the ball off and got some booze, well, there's actually a throw option on it that he probably could have taken. But I think at that point, maybe his shoulders bothering a little bit. So he decided to hand it off, but I think he's going to be just fine.
Appreciate you, Ryan.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Frank.
What's up, Coach?
Hey, Terry, how are you?
I just got a couple questions for you. For a team that's really, really good, on pass blocking, but, you started the season off run blocking really well. Not to get too technical, but what's the biggest difference between being such a great team pass blocking versus run blocking?
Yeah, I do think each skill set's a different deal, right? We've all seen those guys. I'm not trying to go a throwback way, but like a guy like Joe Thomas was a fantastic pass blocker, but was also, he was really good at wide zone run blocking, but not necessarily a power game. So each one of our offensive linemen has a unique skill set that may benefit them. Like go back and watching the game, and what were some of our misses? Is on one play we fell off the three technique and should have stayed on the double team to the backer. One play we went to the wrong backer. I also thought earlier in the season, when you're up on teams, you're able to run the ball a little bit more. And so sometimes you're able to see a little bit more of that downhill running. And when you find yourself sometimes behind in games, obviously the pass blocking comes on. So, it does require a different skill set. Each one does, each individual, but we work hard at both. And it's something we just need to continue to improve upon, especially in running.
And another question, I know you don't like comparing year to year, but your defenses seem to be gelling better at the end of the year than it did at the beginning of the year. I know it's happy to do that, but I know you wish it would happen a few games earlier. So how can you make sure they stay on the same level for the next two games?
Yeah, I think, right, we're pleased. Obviously, the SMU game was an absolutely outstanding job by the defense. And then you go into, they did some decent stuff versus UCF, obviously, versus Navy. And, we're excellent in the red zone this past game. But like we talked about, just the third down conversion. So continue to harp on, I think, as the guys continue to have a good understanding. It's like a lot of things like time on task, even though you say, well, a lot of those guys were part of it last year. But as the season goes on, it's a lot easier for them to recall something that occurred 2 weeks ago than it is something that occurred 12 months ago. So they're gaining confidence in the way they got to do things. Obviously, they're going to have their hands full this weekend as well.
Evan.
Ryan, just a couple questions on some players who I noticed didn't play. Saw Cole Mashburn on the sidelines. Is there an update on his status?
Day-to-day injury.
All right. I didn't see Isaac Ellis. What's his status?
Day-to-day as well.
Julian Barnett and Cartwright. So no, Cartwright does the same thing.
Cartwright's day-to-day, and same with Julian Barnett.
Is that just basically at this point, with the season now, it's like with guys getting banged up, it's just a matter of, hey, just trying to manage them now at this point?
Not necessarily management. If they've got a legit injury that the doctors won't clear them to play, then that's where we're at with it. I mean, it's just I don't make that call. If the doctor says they're not cleared to play, then they won't play. So it's not necessarily about management. It's just if they're not now, if they're cleared to play, they'll be out there and giving it their all for Memphis. But if they're not, then I have no control over that, and I'm going to always respect. I'm never going to put anybody in harm's way. So yeah, we're banged up. Yeah, it's not about management. It's about just where we're at with the season, and guys are hurt now, and we've missed a lot of guys have missed a lot of time this year. But that's the unfortunate thing. One of the things we're dealing with this year. With
Isaac, I mean, I believe that now means so left tackle, left guard. You've had some injuries on that side of the line. I mean, how tricky is it now where you have to kind of slide guys in, especially on that side, just because obviously sacks have been a concern, but also, I mean, you give it that many sacks, but just how concerning is it where one side of the ball you have to basically turn to some younger guys to kind of fill in?
Yeah, I mean, look, we lost our starting left tackle, Austin Myers, with a broken leg. And I thought Austin was really coming on, but that's part of it, right? You lose your starting left tackle. So we threw in a redshirt freshman, Jonah Gamble, who was seeing his first action, this year. So, true freshman, in my opinion, out there on the field, who's done some nice things. But Jonah was even banged up. And if you guys remember, right, we had Devontae Dobbs went in there some last game. So, you look at it from a macro perspective, Devontae Dobbs was actually our third string tackle. He's got to continue to improve. I think he's got a bright future with us. And then, Evan Fields had rotated some in there. It does change things. Evan, I remember when I was the O-line coach, you guys would say, man, do you like rotating? I'd say, ideally, no, but that's part of where we're at. And it does cause some stuff, but those guys are bound. They're smart. They communicate well, and they're continuing to strive in the right way.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, guys. You have a great day.